Niche and authority sites. What's the difference between the two? Well, I'm going to talk about that today. I'm Doug Cunnington. I'm from Niche Site Project, and hopefully everything on the technical end is going to be going well here. You never know, though. You never know. You may not be able to hear me at all, but we'll see how it goes. So this is the first live stream of the week, and I think we're going to see how the plan goes, but I think we're going to do 2 live streams per week. One will be on Friday. One will be on some other day of the week. It just worked out that today I needed a break, so we're doing it now. Dennis is on. What's up? Thomas is on. What's going on there? Give me a shout if it's your first time in the chat room for a live stream. Welcome if it is. Today I'm going to talk about niche sites versus authority sites, and if you saw what I wrote, I don't think there's a big difference. So that's kind of the big punchline, but I'll talk about what I think. If you have questions about niche versus authority sites or some other thing, people kind of get really worked up about the semantics on all of this. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Arc Troopers on. What's up? Danish is on. And Arc, it's your first time on. Welcome. Thanks for joining up. So we'll see how this is going to work today. I've been plagued with tech issues for the last little, I don't know. It's been more than 24 hours because some of it started last week. But one, small digression. I migrated my site, Niche Site Project. If you haven't checked it out, by the way, if you're just from the YouTube side, if you haven't been to my site, Niche Site Project, you can go check it out. It's awesome now because I added secure, like the SSL certificate. So now it's secure mostly, except for, where it's not, because whenever you convert something or migrate anything, there's like a million issues. And I kind of did it yesterday, like at the last, I think I just had some free time and I was like, oh, this is a worthy thing for me to check out. And man, migrating is always tough. So Lance is on. What's up? Leo, how are you? Okay, so basically niche sites over here are kind of what I focus on. My site is Niche Site Project. All my branding is around niche sites. So I stick with the niche site term, the phrase. That's what I talk about. My course is 5-figure niche site. So I'm bought in from a branding perspective to the niche site. So the thing is, though, when I first got started online, people just talked about niche sites and micro niche sites. And those were kind of the 2 areas that people were talking about. This was maybe like 4 years ago. Basically, the micro niche sites were, 1 to 10 pages, and I'm just making up that definition, but they were small. They were not very, broad in the scope of what they talked about. They were literally micro niche down, and they were a very small topic. Then, Google didn't really, favor those kinds of sites anymore. And at some point, the effort to rank a site took longer than it was worth it to put up just a small site. So at some point, it was better to put up a larger site. And some smart marketers, some smart people started calling these authority sites because the sites had more authority as far as their appearance. Outwardly, they covered more material. Maybe they had more backlinks as a rule. But basically, they called them authority sites, and they were oftentimes, much larger, 100, 200, hundreds of pages long, lots of content, maybe longer form content. And that is, it is basically the standard at this point to have a site that has good content, that has some, broad sort of appeal to it. Now, I will mention that part of the, the course that I do, 5-figure niche site, it is based on starting small, but you add to it. And it's starting small, but promoting and taking like a cycle, a piece of work, and like completing it, and then starting a next cycle of work, a sprint of work. So I just wanted to backtrack. So if people that are in the course, I mean, I am describing the process to grow the site. We do that in the course, but you don't do it all at once. See, that's the thing. A lot of other courses out there and a lot of other people teach you to, essentially build out most of your content or a great deal of content to launch an authority site. And it's just not practical for most people. So when you get down to it, there's really no difference between niche sites and authority sites. When we're talking about like, an Amazon affiliate site, usually there's going to be, like the niche sites that I do, there's going to be, dozens of pages once the site is established and has had time to grow. It doesn't start with hundreds of pieces of content. It starts with 10 and then it grows from there. That's what I do with all my sites. And basically, once you grow to some point, other people will say, well, that's definitely an authority site. But in my opinion, an authority site is really just a niche site that's matured, and they're really the same thing. My sites have hundreds of pages on them. There's long form content, dozens and maybe even hundreds of links going to the site. And people would look at it and say, well, that's an authority site, no question about it. But based on my definition, it's covering a niche of content, specific genre, and that's it. So cool. So we have Lance on, also John, what's up? Adrian, it's your first time on. Thanks for joining up. So basically, when it all comes down to it, and I'll say, go ahead, start asking whatever questions you may have. I'll do a little Q&A. It is much preferred if your question is around the niche and authority site concept, but if not, that's okay. I'll still answer anyway. But if it's relevant to the topic, that'll make me happy. That's better. Okay. John says, which tool or program do you think gives the most accurate local monthly searches? I think probably it's the Google Keyword Planner, since they're like the source of the data. And other than that, I say just pick one and go with it. I'm pretty sure SEMrush is a poor like keyword research tool as far as the local monthly searches. And you said, John, you're using a plugin for Chrome. Well, it depends on the plugin. Keywords Everywhere seems to be quite accurate. Ahrefs, I don't have as much experience, but they seem fine. It looks like they have cutting edge tools, but I'm not really sure about their search volume. I'm not sure if they're using the Google API to pull that data. Of course, if you go to the source, the Google Keyword Planner will be the most accurate, but you have to have ads running or else you can't get the real data. So, but John, my advice is to just pick one. I'm consistently using Keywords Everywhere. Just pick one and just keep using it, and then don't worry about it, because you get a baseline for like the keywords relative to each other, and it's good enough. It's good enough to work from. Terraquel, welcome. Thanks for joining up. You're running a new Amazon site. You need my help. Cool. Your site keywords are under 35 competition in KW Finder. Cool. Keep up the good work. I'm not sure how I could help you, but I would suggest you take a look at a lot of the videos on this channel, and also consider the course when enrollment opens again. It's not always open. So, and I don't use KW Finder and don't know anything about the keyword competition scores, but I bet they're not very accurate, because most of those keyword competition or keyword difficulty scores, they just suck. So Arc Trooper says, is it still possible to run a micro niche site on various specific keywords and get it ranked #1 page and make money with it? I don't know. I would say anything's possible, but I don't know anyone who's making like a significant amount of money that does that. So through some reasoning, I would say it's possible, but I wouldn't do it. It doesn't seem like a good model. That makes sense. Art Trooper, I mean, it's just not a thing that people are doing right now, and probably not worth the time. I think if it's something that you try, it's one of those deals you have to, they call them churn and burn sites, where you just spam them with backlinks through Grey Hat and you get them to rank, and then there's a short shelf life and it will go away. You don't know when, but it'll go away. So my advice is basically everything I do is like a longer term, like patient view. Here's the thing, this is deeper. This will be hopefully my helpful thing of the day. If you're trying to do anything that's sort of like easier or faster, or basically easier or faster, you're going to have a lot more like competition, and if it's even possible, you'll have a lot more competition because it's the easiest and it's the fastest way to do things, and usually it's not going to have any longevity. It may not even work, and it's going to be a lot more competitive. So if you like take a step back and think, well, what are you really trying to do? You're trying to develop some cash flow on the side, most likely, and that's like a long-term journey. Like your vision is probably to not have a corporate job or not have a 9-to-5 job where you have to go in every day, and you have some freedom with what you're working on. And if that's really your goal, well, hey, it's worth it to work on that for, 1, 2, 3, 4 years to like develop that. Totally worth it. So if you take a step back and think about what you're really trying to do, maybe it's better to be patient. Don't worry about a micro niche site. And I don't know your motivation, by the way, Art Trooper, but most people, that's their goal. They don't want to have a 9-to-5 job. They want to have money that they've created to source themselves. And if you can like be patient, then you can take a longer term view. And after that, the competition is much less. There's fewer people taking the long path to get to something. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox there. Adrian says, I bought the Kingdom theme recommended by WP Eagle. Would you say it's a good theme to use for your first niche site? I have no idea. I've never heard of that theme before. Actually, and I'm not a big theme person. I like simple. And I would say that if Alex from WP Eagle, by the way, everyone go, if you haven't heard of WP Eagle, go check it out. Alex is really cool. He's a good guy. So, but I would say if Alex recommended it, then I think it's probably good. Ben, what's up? Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, if you're enjoying this, or actually even if you're enjoying it or not enjoying it, just give me a thumbs up. That'll be helpful. Appreciate it. Paul says, after installing Keywords Everywhere, your Google Search Console started reporting more accurate search numbers. Interesting. That's really cool. Oh, you know what? That is the Keywords Everywhere data putting the information in. So they actually rewrite that page and put that data in. That's what it is, Paul, but yes, super cool. Steven says, indeed, spammy websites won't work in the long run, so it's not worth it for sustainable passive income. Yes, Steven, you're 100% right. And Thomas mentions same thing I did. So Keywords Everywhere does add like extra information. And if you look at the Keywords Everywhere documentation, there are a handful of sites where they will insert the keyword search volumes in there, which is super helpful. It's a great plugin. Danish says, how many articles are enough to get you started with a niche site? 10. Get 10 pages and then start promoting it. Ben says, how many pages would have an authority site? I think you're saying, how many pages do you need to have for an authority site? It doesn't matter. There's no difference between niche and authority sites, in my opinion. It's just a niche site an authority site is just a niche site that's grown up, it's matured a little bit. And, the guys at Authority Hacker, for example, they have their branding on authority sites because, that's what they called it. And authority sites were growing in interest when they started. And I picked a niche site project because that was relevant when I got my domain. So, it's really just a branding thing. Like our courses, I think, are very similar. I think mine is more project management oriented, but theirs is, it's great from what I understand. I hear it can be overwhelming because there's so much information and it's not as organized as my course, but Gail and Mark and Perrin are super smart, so they do a good job. Let's see. Okay, so Ben, yeah, overall, how many pages? It doesn't really matter. I think some people would say, like, if you have over 100 pages, it's an authority site. But if you're adding, I mean, if you think about that, if you just have a site in place for 2 years and you add one post per week, that's 100, right? I mean, then all of a sudden it turns into an authority site. It doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, Arc, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you mentioning the likes. So yeah, people have a chance. I do appreciate it. And a couple more questions here, and then I got to get out of here. Terry Quell says, what links are working for long-term, not just churn and burn? So I would say guest posting links are what you should go for through White Hat Outreach. You asked, can I use expired Web 2.0 links directly to a money site with keywords? I would avoid it. Or do I use this to diversify my backlink profile? I would avoid it in both cases. Expired Web 2.0 links are probably generally worthless, so I would just avoid them. Especially if you're avoiding the churn and burn style. You should, think about what I said before. Like, think about like long term. Like, what do you think other people are doing? And then if you could do something that's a little bit harder than that takes more effort, then that's probably going to like last longer. It's going to work better because it's a less crowded channel. And John Sweeney, what's up? You work from home as a PM. That is awesome. I used to do the same thing. Your info here on NSP is your lunchtime and evening digest. I've read and let's see, you've read and learned loads, but you need to apply all the valuable info. John says, thanks. You're welcome, John. Yep, all you got to do is, start working on it. And I will say, nothing goes quite as planned. So, I mean, you should get started, start moving forward, and adjust along the way. Like I mentioned, I started to migrate Niche Site Project over to SSL. I've had the certificate with my hosting for like a year, and I just haven't moved it over because I knew it was going to be a pain in the butt. And then yesterday afternoon, I just thought, hey, I'm going to go for it. And sure enough, I mean, it's a mess. There are so many stupid things you have to, set and reset and that sort of thing. And it really shows you like how good or how bad the hosting support you have is. And, the pitfalls that I had were really around my caching plugin and my CDN. So these are like, level 2 type issues that I was running into, but it's like little things like that. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is that, John, get started because, there's going to be hiccups along the way. You may as well start resolving those as soon as you can. And as a PM, you'll appreciate, just prioritizing and understanding. Sometimes some stuff matters. Sometimes you just got to let it go and move on to the most important stuff and come back later. So, okay. John says, if you had a camping site that started to add survival and emergency prepping products, would it cause a problem? No, that's totally fine. Steven asks, based on my experience, how many articles would be on a niche site by the time it makes 500 a month? It depends, right? You can have a site with like the 10 articles that I talked about making $1,000 a month. the thing is, you need to have like one article that's ranking #1. That will bring in a lot more traffic than the search volumes will, suggest and indicate. So if you, basically the number of articles on the site doesn't necessarily mean that it will make a certain amount. It's where those rank. For example, the Project Go White Hat site that I sold for $235,000. When I joined that, when I partnered up on that site, it was making $10,000 a month consistently for about 4 months or so. It only had about 40 posts. That's it. And like 95% of the revenue was from one post because it ranked #1. So, I mean, if you think about that, it changes how you view it. So it's either rankings or number of articles that don't have links. So those are still ranking high. So it's really about rankings. So I'm not sure if that's helpful. Probably not. Adrian says, it's so helpful what I'm doing. Thanks a lot. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, there's tons of info out there, and I was right there with you. I got started in this stuff like 4 years ago, and I was total newbie, didn't know what a niche site was, keyword research, didn't know what WordPress was, hosting, like totally fresh, brand new. I had no clue what was going on, and I absorbed so much. And you internalize it, you figure it out. So Leo says, any plans to do more breakdown videos? You find them super helpful? Yes, I actually just recorded one yesterday. And like I said, I'm going through a lot of tech issues right now, which I slept like 5 hours last night. I've been drinking coffee all day. So I need to catch up a bit. But yes, Leo, one thing that I'm doing, and let me know what you think of this, I am trying to make them shorter. So my other teardown videos they were first like 15 minutes, and then I started hearing, oh, you should make your videos longer. So I made some like 40 minutes. So these videos are like crazy long, which I found are, good for some people, bad for others, and they were slow. I didn't edit them much. I just shot them and went through. So I shot a video yesterday, and it's like 4 minutes long or so. And I just hit a couple high points. So this is going to adapt, and I'm going to need feedback from people. But Leo, 5-minute video teardowns, more interesting than the 20 to 30-minute ones. And the way I did this last one, I won't mention what site it is. I think I'm going to publish it on Monday, by the way. Basically, I talked about the homepage, and then I talked about a specific review and then a buyer's guide. But I think it may be better if I just go to one site, look at one review, and tear it down in 4 minutes, something like that. And then basically, I've edited it heavily. So like there's like very few gaps between what I'm saying. I take out, and I'm just speaking more clearly and cleaner. But anyway, shorter videos. What do you think, Leo? Good? Is that something? Will that make it better? Okay. All right. Last few questions here, and then I got to get out of here. All right. Danish says, I was about to buy expired Web 2.0 accounts. And you know what? Just not my thing. There may be people that are more qualified to answer, but I haven't used Web 2.0 in years, and I don't think that's not something with longevity. So I stay away from it. Lance says, is the KGR primarily used to find the primary niche keywords to focus on, or more for the long tail? It's more for the long tail, Lance. Yeah, it's more for the long tail. However, don't be afraid to publish that content. I mean, if you can get traffic on your site without building backlinks and rank pages without building backlinks, do it. Adrian says, when I review products on a niche site, do I actually write it, or do I pay someone? Yeah, I pay someone. If you go to, by the way, if someone has the ability to paste the link for the Niche Site Project content series, put that in there, Adrian, check it out. I talk about like developing the content, how you figure out what to write, how I hire people. I give you the templates that I use, and then I talk about scaling it. So like right now I'm scaling it, and I have, looking at my notes, I have 5 writers working with me right now, and they're cumulative. Well, I may let one go, to be honest with you. She's not doing an awesome job, but I'm trying to work with her. And if I have all of them firing at all cylinders, I'll be getting like 27 articles per week. So think about that for a second. That's crazy, right? So there's no way I could write that much. I couldn't even, like, if I could speak and like not have to type it, I still couldn't get that much content out. So Adrian, I pay someone, but you don't have to, right? If you're starting out, you can write it yourself, hire 1 or 2 writers to help you write 1 or 2 articles. Just, you know, get used to the process. D-Card says, what's better, posts or pages? It depends on what you're trying to do. Pages are really for like more permanent things, like your about page, your home page, your disclaimer page, whatever. Posts are usually more blog-like, and I put most of my reviews in posts, like 95% of them. Paul, what's up? Thomas says, let's see, that is better. I'm not sure what you're asking, but Thomas, but it looks like it's still around pages or posts, and it just depends, and it doesn't actually matter at all. Danish says, wow, which I'm not sure what. Paul, great insight, thanks, excellent. Thomas says, once you watch the hiring writers videos, you got over the fear and put a job up, you hired 3, fantastic. Okay, cool. Leo, thank you. And I'm testing the site breakdowns for the shorter format. And one thing that I'm doing also from a just marketing perspective, I am telling people to comment and or like the video if they want me to do like a backlink analysis on the site. So I'll probably pick just one post, the one that I review, but I'm trying to get people to leave comments and actually interact with the video, which is a good thing. So I'm saying if I get 50 comments, then I will do a backlink teardown. So hopefully, and I'll do that each time. Additionally, I haven't mentioned this, but I'm working with some other YouTubers to do teardowns as well, because I think, those are valuable, and I like to hear myself talk, I guess. So if I could there's probably going to be a lot of those going out, and for me, it could be a valuable way for me to like help other YouTubers that they have more subscribers than me, like Alex at WP Eagle, but I have like some specific knowledge that people enjoy. Let's see. John says, my family man. You know what? We don't have any kids, but my parents were just visiting here, so we spent a bunch of time with them. Oh, by the way, the total eclipse, I didn't even mention. I saw someone mentioned it earlier. I think Dennis, I think, mentioned it. But yeah, the total eclipse was insane. It was crazy. I have a video, a couple pictures. It didn't turn out great, but I videoed like my family's reaction to it. And I know some of my friends back in Atlanta, they said, hey, the eclipse was kind of disappointing, not very interesting. And we drove down like 3 hours to Idaho Falls to see like the totality 100%. And there's a massive difference, right? I think probably a lot of people, if you're in the US, you maybe had a chance to check it out. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, like up until the totality. 99.9% covered versus 100% covered is like, there's so much difference. There's a massive difference. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Just amazing. And I think there's another one in 2024 that kind of goes south to north, and I'm thinking I'm going to try to get over to that. It was indescribable. And you know, the people that said that they were disappointed, I totally believe it. You know, I think being in totality makes all the difference. Okay. So we're going through here. So Wesley says Web 2.0 is old school. Adrian says you're on the step 1 of niche site process. Awesome. John says you mentioned have about 40 articles making thousands of dollars. What were the sizes of the articles and how many keywords within the article? So the main article, I think most of the content on that site, I think it was around 1,000, like 800 to 1,000 words for most of it. The post that was making the majority of the money, like $9,000 a month, was like 2,500 words. When we added an additional 7,000 to 8,000 words to get it to about 10,000 words or so, roughly, I can't remember exactly, the revenue went up by like 40%. So did the traffic. As far as how many keywords within the article, probably thousands. I have no idea. We didn't track it like that. We were targeting like one keyword. Long tail keywords came in because the content was long, but we were only targeting one. Matthew says, thanks for the free info. KGR just changed your life today. That is awesome. Good to hear. Let me know the results when it comes out. Okay. And Danish mentioned that the wow that I talked about before was for the insight that I provided on the site that we sold for a high price. Yeah. So I think like one thing to remember is like any examples that you hear are just examples, and there's always an example that disproves the other case, right? So I told you about this site that had 40 pages that was making 10K a month, and then I have another site that has like hundreds of posts and it's making, well, technically until Amazon changed the commission rates, it would have been making 10K a month as well. However, the interesting part is it's across hundreds of posts. So like a rankings impact for one of the keywords is only like, 0.5 to 2% of the total revenue of the site, where a rankings impact on the site that was making 10K a month and only had 40 pages, moving from number 1 to number 2 would have probably represented a huge drop in revenue, which is, kind of bad. So there's two different ways to look at it, and there's no way that's, right. There's just different ways to do it. Okay, and D-Card says, what's structured data in short? I don't know. I would Google it. Dennis says he went to Salem, Oregon. Awesome. Very cool, very cool. And yeah, 2024. People, if you have a chance, like go check it out. Russell, what's up? You just started watching my videos. Thank you. I appreciate you jumping on here. You subscribed under one of the other channel names. Cool. And yeah, just keep watching. And I'm trying to revamp some of the content so it's shorter. But yeah, there's tons of info and lots of free training. From what I experienced, this is Wesley's question. From what I've experienced, how would I compare the difficulty from going to $0 a month to $1,000 a month to going from 1,000 to 2,000? It's usually harder going from the 0 to 1,000, and it's much easier to go from like 1,000 to 4,000, something like that. Usually, if you've done the work up front, like things sort of trend upward in a surprising way. Russell says, do I have a membership site or a product that wraps everything up? Yep, it's called 5-Figure Niche Site, and enrollment's closed right now. But if you do subscribe to the email list, which is just at nichesiteproject.com, you click the green button, you should be able to put in your email list, get all the freebies and stuff like that. Enrollment is closed right now for 5-Figure Niche Site, but it'll open up it'll be in October. I can just tell you, it'll be in October, and I'll talk about it a lot. If you're on the email list, you'll definitely hear about it. Joe Elliott, what's up? Good to have you on. And Russell, by the way, you asked about beginner, mid-level, and a higher level. Really, the course covers it all. Like, it starts at the very beginning, and then it goes into super advanced. I mean, I'm adding new like units and stuff in there where it's basically like selling a site for 6-figure, building an email list, and you know, going beyond the Amazon affiliate program even. So cool. Adrian has to go. I also have to go. So thanks everyone for joining up. I think this was one of the largest crowds. So thanks for all the new subscribers that hopped on. There will be a straight up Q&A on Friday. So I'll come with nothing but interesting stories, and hopefully you won't have to listen to them and you can just ask questions. But I'm out of here for today. Thanks for joining. If you're watching the replay, you know, you give it a thumbs up too. So I would appreciate it. We'll see you later. Bye.